Hola amigos, coming up in this episode we have...
And it's been cut out of a tough rock. Looks like solid granite. And it mentions they use stone pipes for smoking hallucinogenics.
I don't know if this is edible, but it certainly looks beautiful, juicy and...
Some of them appear to have only 2 or 3 fingers, others have square heads. Listen to this. This area is actually one of several UFO hotspots in Chile. So I'm in the middle of Chile, a few hundred kilometers north of Santiago, the capital, and I'm staying at this luxury resort of Hotel Socos, where I appear to be the only guest staying here. In the last episode I spoke about spokes, how I broke 7 of them due to my monoshock bottoming out so hard. Now everything seemed okay, but I decided it was prudent to spend another day making a test run. The destination was only about 50 kilometers away at Monumento Arqueológico Valle del Encanto. In English that's the Enchanted Valley Archaeological Monument. Signs were pretty jaded and faded, but somehow I found the turn off. At the entrance office, there was a park ranger called Clemente Pizarro who wanted to talk about tennis and UFOs. He gave me a little map which proved invaluable in finding some of the more interesting things, like rock inscriptions. Parking at Atwakey, I set off with that map in hand and looking for anything of interest. Lots of cactus around here, it's still pretty dry, and not much really to get your bearings with. It always amazes me how people can live in a country as dry as this, but they had their ways, as I was about to find out. Wandering around here a bit, eventually I found a path that led to some stagnant water and this little blue dragonfly. Water in the desert means life, not just for people, for animals. And of course the ancient hunters only needed to lie in waiting, and sooner or later the game would come to them and they could catch them, spear them, cook them, whatever. Aha! There is a rock inscription. It looks pretty interesting. I wonder what it represents. There's some water down there. I get the feeling that I've seen this before somewhere. But where? Where have I seen this before? Wow! What's this? A boulder with little cup holes ground into them, which gives them their name. Piedras tacitas, or little cup rocks. It's often assumed these holes were where seeds or pigments were ground. But Wikipedia also mentions that they were used for ceremonies or symbolic uses. And you wonder, what sort of symbolic purposes? Well, there are a lot of theories. Some Chileans believe they were part of a water cult, and that's very possible when you consider this place is situated in a very arid zone, but it had water all year round.
Hemos visto que lo más adecuado es que estas estén relacionadas con la sacralidad de los cursos de agua y que tengan que ver mucho con el hecho de que el agua es un elemento vital que desciende desde los cerros.
Other studies indicate that these rock mortars were used primarily for ritual use rather than food preparation, despite the presence of microscopic particles of maize and the wild Chilean bitter potato. Now this is where it gets rather gruesome. Chileans still today celebrate a bloodthirsty custom called ñachi, where an animal is sacrificed above a piedra tacita, or cupstone, its blood mixed with herbs and allowed to coagulate before being consumed raw. Another custom, published in a book in 1908, records Chilean tribal warriors put blood into these little cup holes before dipping the tips of their spears in the cup holes and heading down the warpath. They look so perfect, almost machine-made, and it's been cut out of a tough rock. Looks like solid granite. Many cultures lived in this place over the millennia, but the most well-known culture is called Cultura Moye. Our sign here summarises some of the main characteristics of this culture, and it mentions they use stone pipes for smoking hallucinogenics, and these have been well documented because there are similar sites spread all over central Chile. Ceramic and lithic pipes have been found, and the residue inside them has been analysed in a laboratory. The residue they found indicated tobacco and maize was smoked. They probably used the leaves of the corn plant to help the tobacco burn. Stone mortars and pestles have been found, and small pitchers that are thought to have been used for ritualistic smoke-spreading ceremonies. Another important residue found was Skinus moye, or false pepper tree, or sometimes it's called the Peruvian pepper tree, and they still grow here, right here in the Valle del Encanto, still today. It's interesting, the word moye comes from Quechua, and the Inca used its resin to embalm their dead, and ironically, they gave it another name, meaning the tree of life. Now, there are many reasons why it's called the tree of life. Leaves and berries from Skinus moye have been proven to be antimicrobial, also to kill the blood parasite that causes Chagas disease, a disease native to the Americas for thousands of years and is spread by the bite of a blood-sucking insect. Skinus moye also has an antidepressant effect, and not only that, oil from its seeds and leaves have been shown to be 100% effective in killing fleas. Another study showed it was very effective in promoting healing of wounds. No wonder it was called the Tree of Life, but its use was not limited to medicinal applications. Recent studies have shown when it is added to a drink made from vilca, it strengthens the drink's hallucinogenic effect. Vilca, or Anandan anthera colubrina, grows right here in the Valle del Encanto, and Vilca also has both medicinal properties and a host of hallucinogenic compounds, including bufotenin, a drug which is also found in the skin of Bufo marinus, better known as the cane toad, which is also native to South America. It's interesting to note that bufotenin has many uses of its own, including it being an aphrodisiac and to envenom poison arrows. Another element found in these ancient smoking pipes is that of datura, another plant that has both medicinal and hallucinogenic properties. In fact, it is used in potions in the Caribbean to create real-life zombies. And yet another hallucinogenic residue found in these ancient pipes is Lobelia tupa, which is native to this region of Chile and has been used as both a hallucinogen and an agent to induce miscarriages and also to treat nicotine addiction. Even so, the plant is regarded as poisonous, and it is said even just smelling it can induce sickness. No wonder it's called the devil's tobacco. I wonder what they are. It has black seeds. Well, I'm not going to try it, but I'm sure the ancient people had at least one use for it. There's some more weird-looking seeds. And there's naturally dried flowers everywhere. And clusters of these spiky cactus balls. There's some piedras tacitas that are more oval than the other ones. Sometimes those oval ones line up with solstices. I just watched a YouTube video in Spanish about a guy down on the coast in about 100 kilometres north of here, and the boulder that they're next to only allows sunshine a couple of weeks of the year, but they line up with the summer solstice, which is pretty cool.
Something's been digging here. Gophers.
I'm starting to get thirsty. I read somewhere that nearly all cactus evolved in South America. I know Australia has plenty of deserts, but we don't have any native cactus, only introduced ones. That looks like a fruit.
I don't know if this is edible, but it certainly looks beautiful, juicy and full of water or juice or something.
I like it here, but the midday heat is starting to get to me. And that's not the only thing that got to me.
Ow!
Another curious thing the sign mentions are their ceramic engraved vessels, fired or painted, double-necked bottles joined by a handle bridge. Well, that sounds a lot like the so-called whistling water jars. They often had two spouts connected by a bridge and coloured grey or black by a smoky firing atmosphere. Such vessels can be one or two chambered and can emit a sound effect by blowing or pouring liquid, and the liquid sucks air in such a way as to function as a whistle. Archaeologists have known for a very long time that various Andean cultures produced these receptacles over thousands of years. There was a theory that they were used as an animal lure for hunting. This particular one is said to produce a mournful sound. Then they began being associated with ceremonies where hallucinogens were consumed. In the 1970s, laboratory tests ascertained they emitted frequencies to which the human ear is most sensitive to. But it doesn't end there. One researcher found that the sounds emitted by these instruments were enough to induce a trance-like state on their own, without consuming any drugs at all. And if you've ever heard a whistling pot, they certainly seem capable of this phenomena. Listen to this.
El águila, las crías,
But these piedras tacitas were not only for grinding seeds. A recent study found that one boulder with 16 holes in it represented the constellations of Scorpius and the Southern Cross, and actually pointed to where these appeared on the horizon during the June solstice. In effect, a calendrical star chart written in stone. The same researchers found an open space near here with alignments to nearby hills that marked the summer solstice, and a raised boulder that pointed to the celestial South Pole. Since the advent of the internet, Chilean interest and recognition of piedras tacitas has exploded. Some local councils have even made their protection a political issue, after many of these stones have been destroyed by encroaching development, or moved from their original sites, which destroys their context, as one Facebook poster recently discovered at Punta Teatanos, only about 120 kilometers north from here on the coast, just north of La Serena.
Punta Teatanos, 20 de junio, una piedra tacita. Allá está la otra piedra, esa que apenas se ve ahí. Esa también tiene piedra tacita. Y esta piedra tacita tiene una ubicación especial para ver los solsticios. En el verano tendría que salir hacia allá, y en invierno estamos apuntando hacia allá. Entre medio de esos dos cerros podría salir, confirmarlo. Hay que no solamente sacar la foto de la piedra tacita, sino que hay que ver el contexto de los cerros.
So what we find here is much more than just a few weathered rock inscriptions. It was a place where food and water could be obtained, hallucinogenic potions mixed to the hypnotic sounds of whistling pots, and calendrical and celestial observations made so they could mark time. Then I saw this, the pictographs on boulder E-2C. Some of the more imaginative Chileans say that this is a figure of a Martian with antennae. Some of them appear to have only 2 or 3 fingers, others have square heads. This theory really took off in 1999 when a popular TV show called OVNI, which is Spanish for UFO, did a segment on it called Paleocontactos. Episode 11 speculated that these rock engravings commemorated some sort of contact with extraterrestrial beings, even though almost all archaeologists agree that these etchings span hundreds, if not thousands of years from different cultures and different eras. But you know, people love a good mystery, a good ET contact story, so the reports and newspaper articles continued to come out, even after Patricio Bañados, the presenter, himself admitted he was a UFO skeptic 10 or 15 years after the show finished. Time for me to go, so I jumped on Atwakey, rode around the site a little bit more, and then headed back to Los Socos Hotel. On the way back, I started thinking about what Senor Clemente Pizarro said about UFOs and all that. So I did a bit of Googling and found that this area is actually actually one of several UFO hotspots in Chile. In fact, the Chilean government maintains a UFO database and actively encourages members of the public to report any strange phenomena that they witness. In fact, in 2009, there was a UFO accidentally captured by a person photographing his model aeroplane at Atwakey, Valle's local aerodrome. When the photo was sent to the United States to be analysed, a report came back saying it was a disc-shaped solid structure. But there was an even earlier incident published in a book in 1968, when UFOs were seen at a place called Los Molles, about 100 kilometres east, hovering over the site of a hydroelectric dam. But the most intriguing case is that of a prospector called Jorge Tabe Ibarra, who claimed to see a huge blue UFO the size of 3 aeroplanes touch down on a mountain near Ovalle in November 1993. When he went back the next day to investigate, he collected 3.5 kilograms of a shiny metal that he later sent to several international laboratories, who, according to newspaper reports, were unable to identify the metal, though reportedly it was impervious to acid, melting, and did not conduct electricity.
You know, maybe I should mention right now that I've never seen a UFO, and I think that 99% of them can be explained very rationally by, weather phenomena, plastic bags in the air or whatever. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep an open mind.
Back in the Hotel Socos, I found out I'd picked up a little hitchhiker. All alone in the quaint dining room again, I got to tuck into albondigas y arroz, that's rissoles and rice in English, and I quenched my thirst with Socos apple-flavoured mineral water, bottled right here on the premises. And then when the bill came, I realised something. I get the feeling that I've seen this before somewhere. But where? Where have I seen this before?
That's it for this episode, amigos. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment if you want. Coming up in the next episode, we have...
Packing up for Valparaiso? Are they horses or mules? The policeman confirmed my worst fears. It was human blood. I've now done over 4,000 kilometres. Coming into Valparaiso on a sunny Sunday afternoon was beautiful.